Perfect. And we're live. Well, Kezden, thank you for joining me tonight. I've got Kezden Blankenship here with me tonight. We used to play a little football back in the day. We actually played college football at Briarcliff together. It was only 1 year. I mean, it wasn't the most successful year of all time, but we built a good relationship. And so he reached out when he was seeing some of the podcast episodes, and I'd love to have him on. So we brought him on. So, Kezden, thanks again for coming on.
Yeah, Dylan, thanks for having me. Like I said, I was very interested in the first few episodes I had seen with some of your friends and family that you had on, and I was like, "This is very interesting. I'd totally be on if you were open to having me." So,
It's awesome. So I know we only spent 1 year at Briarcliff together, but correct me if I'm wrong, you went to Iowa State after that. Is that right?
yes, for
What
3
did you
years,
get a degree in?
supply chain management.
Okay. So what do you do with that now?
Well, I didn't use it. I'm
Yeah.
currently not using it. I used it. I worked for a trucking company and
Okay.
did like routing for um, the loads that they hauled and stuff. And I did that for about 3 years, and then I transitioned to the banking lifestyle. So now I am a
Mm.
loan officer
Okay.
at People's Bank.
That's awesome. That I've actually something mortgage loan officer is always something I've been very interested in. Because little backstory about me too. Yeah, so I went and did 2 years at Briarcliff, and then eventually went to the military, and then I ended up wrapping up my school at South Dakota State. And I have a degree in history, but I've never used it once in my life. So I have a nice piece of paper over on my shelf over there, but I had never used it. Got into bartending, and then have done sales for the last 4 or 5 years. So but the mortgage loan officer always seemed really interesting to me, but I know there's a lot of like licensing things and courses you have to take to do all that stuff. But kind of sales in your own element, I would say. A little bit of salesmanship that you got to do, but
Yeah.
that's really cool.
I mean, like 90% of the job is just conversation.
Mhm.
So,
That's awesome. I would say salesmanship it's not something I ever saw myself in, but it was just like Darian was telling me. She's just like, Dylan, you're just a natural born salesman because sales isn't trying to manipulate people like it used to be. Everybody knows that's bullshit. It's just conversations. It's being able to hold a conversation and connect with people. That's what sales is. I'm like, well,
yep.
when I grew up, finally grown up, and I was like, oh shit, she was right. She was right the whole time. So, which is kind of cool. But I think that's awesome. And then, did you meet your wife at Iowa State?
No, I did not. It was,
Okay.
yeah, kind of. Yes. I got to know, like, one of her friends from high school was good friends with us, and we kind of like partied together at Iowa State. And so she would come up every once in a while. And that was
Okay.
kind of how we initially met.
How long have you guys been together then?
4 years,
Okay, yeah.
I think, four.
Married, and then you guys have how old's your kid?
She is 6 months.
6 months old. Oh my goodness. I would say have a 1 month old, so I know the boat you're in. Are you guys getting some sleep?
Oh yeah, we're blessed. She
Oh, good.
we put her down at 8, and she don't wake up till 6:30. So
That's amazing. My firstborn for 14 months never made it longer than 3 hours in the middle of the night without waking up. So,
oh,
and she slept in our bed till about a year old, even though she was never supposed to. But
that's how it
yeah,
goes.
it's so tough, and the second one's been great for the first month, but then, like, the last couple of nights has just been every hour, every 2 hours, and it's like, I just wasn't blessed with some sleepers, I just wasn't, and so, as a new parent, that is definitely a big, big bonus, a big
Yeah,
advantage that you have, but
I've heard that from about everybody I've talked to.
yeah, absolutely. Well, how's life being a dad? Like, how has that kinda changed everything in your kind of perspective of life? It's a whole new realm of things.
Yeah, it's very different in a good way. It's like most of the time, even though you're dating or married, you were still kind of the priority.
Mhm.
Like it's you, and then I mean, not to sound selfish about it, but it's still kind of you before everybody else. And now
Yeah.
that's not the case. It's like you're responsible for somebody who can't do anything for themselves.
It's
And
kinda crazy.
yeah, especially like when you first walk out of the hospital, it's like
That "oh shit"
everybody
moment?
talks about it. It's like hilarious. Oh,
Yeah,
we're responsible for this human now. It's like,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird, man, and I always said too that I'm a very selfish person at my core. Like I truthfully like think about myself and everything, but it was just like it's also when you become a parent and you look back, it's like almost nothing else mattered. You know what I'm saying? Like all the things that you thought were so relevant, like maybe it was having some beers with the boys or like, oh, staying up late to get the games in or whatever it was, or like that promotion at work. None
Yep.
of it matters. Like just none of it matters when you have that kid and all of a sudden it's just like this is the only thing that matters in my life. And what was I doing for the last 10 years? You know what I'm saying? That was at least my reaction to it. But
All the stress and anxiety about all those like
yeah.
little things that you just think are such a huge deal.
Yeah. It so with being a new dad, is there any like big stressors that you had with it? Like for my thing was that I know they always talked about SIDS with kids. And so like I literally for my first kid, the first 3 months held it like it was like a bomb. Like I just couldn't put the thing down. I was always holding her and just freaking out. Did you have any experiences like that?
No, I'm a pretty relaxed person. My wife is just like that though. Like she's like sees all the videos and TikToks and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, "Oh, this is what we got to do. This could happen." We have the owlet thing.
Mm.
I don't know if you had that. It's kind of like a
Yeah.
little sock that like it'll go off if like the oxygen rate drops or something.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
And she's like super worried about that. And I'm just like, "Oh, she's fine. Like she's breathing, she's eating, I'm
Yeah.
just very laid back about the whole situation." So I was never like on high alert about anything.
That's good. I would say the first one we did. The second one's so much easier, man. I'm telling you. If you ever considered having another one, it's night and day difference. Like obviously, when you go from the zone coverage of 2-on-1 to 2-on-2, it's completely different. But oh shit. Anyways, no, yeah, I was saying with two kids it's just so different. Cuz like I've noticed now and I'm sure you've noticed too like when maybe one of you guys needs a break, you're like, "Hey, I'm going to just go hang out with my buddies tonight," whatever it is, you can kind of like, "Okay, we'll take that responsibility for the night." It's really hard to do that when you have two. Like right now Darian's upstairs and I'm just trying to put one to bed and then she's got the other one and then vice versa and it's a whole different ball game. But like I said beforehand, man, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I think being a dad is one of the coolest things and one of the biggest honors I've ever been given in my life. So, is there any like de-stressors that you have found while being a dad? Is there anything that kind of helps you get calmed down if there's, obviously being a parent is a very stressful thing to go through.
I mean, the only thing I really got stressed with was when you first take them home and they're like, "Oh yeah, you got to feed them every 3 hours,"
Mm.
and it's that you get that late night and you're just dead tired and they're just crying. And you're just like, "Oh, just please go back to sleep." And
Mhm. No, I know exactly what you
yeah,
mean. I
but
always said it's okay to be upset with the situation, but not okay to be upset with the kid, right? So like there's
yep,
just so many times where you're like you're so angry about the situation, but it's like the kid's not doing anything wrong because it's a fucking baby. I'm not doing anything wrong because I'm just trying to be a good dad and just be supportive, but it's like the situation sucks. It just
yeah.
sucks. And there's just nothing you can do. So
And then the one thing that got me through it was like I would just tell myself like, you don't get this stage for very long, It's like just like the newborn stage. You don't get that newborn stage for very long. So like there's parts that suck, but like enjoy the good parts of it cuz it does not last long.
I completely agree, man. I that's what kind of gets me through. I think in the tough parts as well is that knowing like I had some nights where it was just like, yeah, my kid gets up at 4:30 in the morning and decides, you know what, it's time to get up for the day. Yep, we're gonna go get some breakfast now. We're getting Pop Tarts, whatever it is, and it's just like I'll remember that forever, it's just like but I'll never have that again when, she's out and she's doing a thing in life, and it's just like, sometimes you just gotta smile. Just smile and accept it
Yeah,
for what it is because it's not gonna happen ever again, so, um, I always like to use the glass half full versus glass half empty. I like to choose the glass half full and just be okay with what's going on rather than complain about things that happen, so, I
I'm
think
with
that's
you
really
on
cool,
that.
man. I think
I'm
that's really
with you on
cool.
that.
So how obviously, being in college and experiencing life, but then transitioning into now being in a marriage. What was kind of the biggest thing that you learned about yourself going into a marriage and kind of that ultra commitment to another person?
Ooh. Um well, first of all, like being in college and having your like first experience where you're like actually totally responsible for yourself and there's no like going back home type thing.
Mm,
Like that's different in itself. And it's like you gotta figure yourself out and what right, obviously right from wrong, but like figure out what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And then going into the marriage, it's like that's where you become you can still be selfish in per se, but like, there's somebody else's feelings who are equivalent to as much as like how much they matter to the decisions you're making. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
Like, you can't just choose to do something just because you want to do something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, it's a complete partnership, man. It's a very different feeling. I always said too, I mean, me and Darren have been together for I think 11 years now, but it still was that big jump from like yes, we were dating, engaged, but like now we're married and it's like every financial decision, every decision we make together is a joint like it's no longer like who wants what. It's this is our life and this is the life that we're building together. So
Yep.
I think it amplifies it for sure. Like all your decisions that you make no longer are made based off of, like you said, your own choices. So, and that was really hard for me being, like I said, I'm a super selfish guy. So like I was always go, 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 do whatever I wanted to do, whatever makes the most sense. But then it was no longer, okay, I want to do this. How do you feel about it? Oh, you don't want to
Yeah.
do that? Oh, fuck. Well, now what do we do? So it's like, it's definitely a change. It's absolutely a change. But I think when you find that person that complements you the best, it brings out the best version of yourself. And so to find a partner, I think that's amazing. And obviously you got to spend time with Darian and see her. She's an amazing woman. So I'm sure your wife's an amazing person as well. So to wrap up somebody like you, I know you're kind of a wild dog. So I think that's awesome. I think that's cool, bro. Um, but yeah, absolutely. So I think that's cool, man. I think yeah, it's so unique to see people at our age too to have being marriages and having kids and things like that. Because I think for our generation, a lot of people, from what I can tell and who I know, struggle with those types of things right now. It's hard to get in the dating scene. It's hard to take on financially the burden of having families and doing things like that right now. So for us to be in those positions, it's really incredible, and it's really something to, take a second and be proud of. So I think that's awesome.
I think the dating world is just like wild.
Yeah.
Like the stuff you see on social media and stuff is just like I said, it's just wild. Like it's got to be so hard to like find somebody that you can actually trust. It seems like nowadays.
Mhm. And I was, yeah, like I said, I've been so blessed. I've had the same girlfriend since I was 16, so I've never had to try any of the dating pools, do any of that stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
just even some of my buddies, it's just like the apps and then like all these things, and it's like a lot of the times too, it's like our generation of men are like sought out to be enemies, like they're sought out to be nasty, disgusting people, and it's just like we're just guys, we're just guys trying to find somebody to share our love with and just be dudes, and so it's really hard to watch some of it go through, and I don't blame people who don't wanna try right now or don't wanna
Yeah.
put themselves out there. It's kinda
I,
crazy.
I think social media 100% has just destroyed the way males view females and females view males. Like just because of you see what you see on social media is just a majority, I would say, at this point
Mhm.
of what it is, but not all women or all men are like that. But you see a majority of it.
Yeah, I mean, the social media is just so over sexualized right now. It's just like it's literally all geared towards what are these like it's like I saw this thing called maxing or whatever the fuck it's called, where like
Oh,
dudes are just supposed to like max out who they are, and then like the girls are like literally just getting butt naked for millions of dollars on the internet, and it's like that's what the world is. Everybody's just trying to be, there's a thing called being the best version of yourself, and then there's being just an idiot and trying to, max out whatever the fuck they do. I don't know. I was looking into it. I'm like, dude, this is crazy. I couldn't
I'm
imagine trying to be out there right now. I just couldn't.
I, I'm chronically online, so I know exactly
Okay.
what you're talking about.
Okay. Okay.
Like looks maxing and like
Sure.
uh
Yeah. Yeah.
and just everything is maxing. Like whatever you're doing, and then it's just followed by maxing. Like just trying to do it to the absolute max. It's so stupid.
Bro, it's almost like a mental disorder to me. Like it's just like I don't know. It's so weird. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like normal human behavior. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm glad I don't got to deal with any of that. by all means, go ahead, guys. So, no, it's very interesting. But you say you're on social media a lot. Well, like TikTok, Instagram, what kind of social medias
Uh,
do you typically go with?
TikTok and X. I
Oh,
kind of just scroll. Yeah,
Twitter's,
old
yeah.
Twitter. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say I've been trying to get back into TikTok. So that was one of the biggest things with this podcasting stuff was that I'd basically deleted all social media for I think it was almost 3 years, 3 or 4 years, just because of how toxic it was and just how like the gross. Like we said, every time I opened my phone, there was a pair of tits on the screen or there
Oh
was
yeah.
somebody shaking their ass, and I was just like, I don't want to see this anymore. So it was a lot for me to come back and obviously pick up this and try and go on and put good out into the world. But I think that's where I saw the error of the waves was that there was so much negativity out there and there was so much people, so much greed. Whereas like I just feel like we can come on and have genuine people come have genuine conversations and put that out to the world. I think that's a lot better than trying to max this or max that, like, all of the weird shit that people do. So I don't know. It's a real
I
world,
I
man.
I agree with you though. I
Yeah.
mean, there needs to be more of it, but there's not enough of it.
Yeah, lead by example. That's all we can do. That's all we can do. So, but kind of gearing towards some of the questions that I had read before and kind of sent to you. What emotion do you find hardest to understand about yourself? Would you say?
Oh, that I had trouble like coming up with an answer for this one because I
This one
like
stumps most people. Yeah.
um I would have to say like most emotions I think I struggled with like controlling the emotion itself was
Mm,
like a big thing for me and I didn't really even understand it until probably when I graduated college and then I felt like I understood being like when I'm angry like how to control that and I don't know, a big thing for me was like just being around people who like were the glass half empty people.
mm,
And it just kind of drove me to try to be the more energetic, positive person. So like I wanted to just be the happy person all the time. And I still try to be that way just because I don't know, there's just so like you said, there's so much negativity in the world. It's just hard to be around people that only see things that way.
mm. Yeah. I mean, from what I can remember you, man, you always had a smile on your face. You always were laughing and had a smile on your face. So I think that's a good trait to have. It's a skill that you don't get to see very often with most people. And so, but you're right. If there's a lot of people around you that are negative or just constantly have that, non-optimistic view of life, it's so hard. It really suffocates you. And like you said, controlling your emotions, whether it's good, bad, or in between, it's definitely something that everybody, struggles with. So, I think that's a good answer because yeah, I think there's highs and lows of everything. So how do you stay even keel going through the dance we call life? Because life's
Yeah.
gonna give you every single emotion that you could possibly handle, and then some more. So, no, I think that's awesome. What is something you once strongly believed in but eventually outgrew?
Um, when you're younger, you always think like you see adults and you're just like, oh, they have their life together. They know what they're doing. Any adult you ever saw, you're like, oh, that they have a job. They have their life together. And it's like you get to be an adult and you're like you realize like 90% of them don't have their life together.
Amen. Dude, I couldn't connect to that more. I remember growing up thinking that it was just like you see people in the nice cars and the nice homes and you're like, man, they just did it right. Everything was set up perfectly for them. Like I got to do the same thing. And I think as you get older, you realize like when you understand how the world works, it's like they're probably just in as much debt as I am. They're probably, loaning out half the things that they have and they're probably stressing out about it every 2 seconds of the day like I am. Like I agree. Everybody's probably in the same ballpark, even though growing up, it didn't look like that. It didn't feel like that, you know? So
Yeah.
that's a good
And
point.
like being in the banking world, like
Mm.
I see it like every day. So it's
Do you have a lot of people who are like fake flexing, like they literally all the time like come in thinking that they like deserve certain things, and then you have to be the reality where you're like you didn't qualify for this at all because or like different things in that order?
not very often does that happen.
Okay.
Like, because I mean, like we try not to, like, be like, "No, that's not possible." Like, the biggest thing is, like, trying to help them find a solution of how it
Mm.
can be a possibility, and a lot of times they'll figure it out just from you trying to, like, explain to them how it would have to be a possibility that it isn't really gonna be feasible, but not a lot of times do you have to, like, be like, "Sorry, that's not gonna work."
Shoot him down completely.
Yeah.
With the loan officing, is it like what can you give loans out for? Is there like a specific restrictions or what can you kind of give those out for?
Yeah, so I do car loans,
Mm,
personal loans. Um, I'm kind of like an ag loan officer is technically what I'm trained for. So I work with a lot of
mm.
farm customers, but I do a lot of car loans and stuff for people in town and that kind of stuff. So I see how much vehicles cost and what people make for payments and how much of their paycheck goes to a vehicle
Mm.
payment, per se.
Do you think that this generation, or at least people right now, are paying way more than they should, probably than what their recommended budget would be?
Yeah, more than the recommended budget for sure, but like there's a lot of people care about what other people think they like of the vehicle they drive.
Mm,
Like everybody wants to portray a certain image. They care about what people think about them or what they have. And, sometimes some people are willing to spend a lot of money to make that a reality.
yeah, I'm a victim of it, man. So when I moved out to Oregon and Darian got her nice travel nursing and I was like a bar manager at the time, I was like, we're making good. Like I want my car. So I went out and bought a brand new, I think it was in 2021 blackout edition Dodge Challenger, right? So it was like the cat's meow was my dream car. It was so fucking cool. But looking back at it now, the payment plus insurance was almost like $800 a month. And it's just like, I don't care how big I'm flexing, I'm like, "Why the fuck am I spending $800 on a car that only has 2 seats in it?" Like, what are we doing? Like, being the dad's the dad me now, but it was just like it was so cool. It was my dream car, but I know exactly what you mean because at the time, it was just like it was a social status kind of symbol, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm driving around and don't get me wrong, I had more than my fair share of people, like, be like, "Damn!" You know what I'm saying? Like, it was cool, it was awesome,
Oh yeah.
but that doesn't mean I had it for 4 years, do the math on $800 a month, like, I spent a ton of money, and so, did I get all my value out of it? Maybe. Will I ever forget it? No, so, I think
Yeah.
that's the hard part, that it's tough, but I'm sure in your line of work, you see it every day where people are just like, "I'll take out 1,000 plus at, like, a 15% interest rate," and you don't can you ever be in that position where you're, like, trying to educate them against it, or is it just kinda more like, "Alright, if you
Um,
wanna do it, go ahead."
the goal is to always like make sure they're educated on the decision they're
Okay.
making,
Mm,
but like at the end of the day, it's their money and they have the right to, but like if it's gonna, let's say somebody makes $1,000 a month.
mhm,
This is like very low end, or two. Let's say they make $2,000 a month, and they're paying $1,000 for rent, so that's 50% of their income left over. We wouldn't do a loan where they have to pay $700 payment because
mm,
then that's $1,700 off the bat, and they have $300 to live through the month,
right,
and they're gonna default on that payment by the second month probably.
yeah.
You know?
That's fair. I always say in sales, I'm like, even when people want to make stupid decisions, I always tell them I'm not a financial advisor. So if you want to go ahead and spend that money, I'll take it. But, I try and be as honest as I can with people. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, you got a $200,000 house and you want to put $30,000 worth of floors into it. Sure, I'll take your money. Why not? But, I'm not a financial advisor. So, that's the bend that I'm on right now. I sell floors for a living, so I basically go into people's homes and give them estimates on what kind of floors they can get and so on and so forth. So it's a whole different ball game of sales. But I don't know. Like I said, it's so cool. I don't know. I wouldn't do anything else. I think sales and being in front of people is kind of a niche. It's just one of those things where I love talking to people. And obviously when you work, it's a very surface level conversations most of the time. So it's always nice to be able to have some more deeper, in-depth conversations with people, from time to time, so it's cool. What do
No,
you
you're
think
good.
your younger self would be most surprised to learn about who you are today?
Um, I'd probably have to say that one was a tough one for me too, and I was like, "God, like, what direction do I go with this?" And I was like
Mm,
I ultimately, I just came back to, like, there's more to life than sports. Because like,
ooh,
growing up, it was just like summer was baseball season, then it was football season, then it was basketball season, then it was track, and then, it was just nonstop or track, soccer, whatever
mm,
you I mean, now you're a big soccer guy, so
yeah.
so, like, yeah, it was just probably from, like, elementary school through college for me, it was like I didn't really know a life besides sports,
Yeah.
and that's why I went to Briarcliff because I was like, "Oh, there's not really an option to go to college without playing sports," you know?
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to announce our new sponsorship with West River Whiskey Company. West River Whiskey Company started as a dream in the summer of 2020. While working with Indian Motorcycle, the owner, Joel, made great friends with some key executives at Jack Daniels. They successfully opened their business in April of 2021. They started their journey off with Jack Daniels products, and after just 6 months into operations, they were approached by a business partner, Gordon Oman of Black Fork Farms Distilling. Over the last several years, they have built the West River and Black Fork brands, introducing the world to South Dakota bourbon. Starting with just a handful of bourbon styles, they now proudly pour and sell over 15 different bourbon products, as well as Black Fork's top vodkas and gins. In 2024, West River was named Deadwood Business of the Year by a group of their peers. They strive to give back to the community that has given them so much, as both Joel and Don proudly serve on the Deadwood Fire Department. You can find their website link in my bio, where you can get direct access to their merchandise. As always, thank you for your support and enjoy the rest of the podcast. I wanted to ask you about that. Like, how was your transition out of sports? Because I know mine was terrible. Like, I struggled with it mentally for so long. Like, just like you said, where my mind was only geared towards sports and like my physical stature. So then, long story short, down the line, my back gave out, and then I started to have to like actually use my brain for things, and I just went through the deepest, darkest depression of my life. Like, how did you transition out of football and being like, you know what, sports are over. I'm done with sports.
So at Iowa State, I just played a lot of intramural stuff,
Yeah,
and
that's
I
fair.
went to the I don't remember what the gym was on campus and just played basketball a lot. Like, a couple times a week, I'd go and play basketball. Just play basketball with a bunch of random people there.
So you just kept doing the sports just to
Yeah,
kind of keep your mind at ease.
yeah,
Okay, good. I think that was my biggest mistake is that I played that second season at Briarcliff and then I left, and for 6 months I didn't do anything. I went to USD for school for 6 months, believe it or not, but I was still living in Sioux City. I was still living, with Trevor Erickson. Yeah, you know
yep,
you know Trevor.
yep.
I lived with him for 6 months, and so it was just literally us hanging out and then me going to class here and there, but that was it. There was no intramurals, there was no sports, there was no nothing, and so that was, like, so hard on me because like you said, your brain had been trained since you were a kid to continue to play sports and just be in that active mindset. So, lo and behold, within those 6 months, I decided to sign up for the Army. So that's how bad I was missing things. So I was like, I was looking for anything. And of course, recruiter got me at the best time possible. And I was like, fuck yeah, I'll go do that shit. So, um, yeah, it's
That
been
almost
tough.
that almost happened to me.
Yeah.
I met a recruiter like 3 or 4 times, took the quiz to see what jobs I could get,
Whew.
all the way up into the point to, like, actually sign my name. I got that far, and then I was like, "I don't really know if this is what I wanna do."
Damn, they almost had you. They almost
Yeah,
had you in the trap. She. That's
and
funny.
that was
Was
about
it?
the same time my first year at Iowa State.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, it's like when you make that drop off of like you have such a structured sport, like the military is the closest thing you're gonna find outside of sports. Like it's just that structure and everything like that. So, um, and they're very good at recruiting. They're very good salespeople. They're gonna sweeten that pot and make it sound nice and smooth to you. Was it the Army that they were getting you in for, or what was
Yeah,
it? The Army?
yep.
Yep, yep, they'll get you. I enjoyed my time. I loved every second. It luckily for me, it was part of it too, where I was like, I know I would regret it the rest of my life if I never did it. So that was kind of the ultimate factor of doing it. But I know for a lot of people, it's like it sounds super sweet, and then when you think about it, you're like, "Oh, fuck, this sounds terrible." Like,
Yeah.
the idea sounds cool, but it's just like when you actually get down to the nuts and bolts of it, and looking back at it, I mean, it really didn't do much for me other than I took a year off of college, went to Africa, and did a bunch of stupid shit, and more or less hurt my body more than anything else I ever did, so, um was it worth it? I don't know, but I got a nice shiny jacket in the closet, and I can tell people I always did it, so, fuck it, why not? Why not, So, um, but no, that's cool. That was the biggest transition for me that I went through in my life was that, yeah, I went through the military, but then I got hurt, and I couldn't do anything physically. So I think that for people who are so used to athletics, when your body's finally trapped and you haven't been able to use your brain or developed your brain, that can be a really real big nightmare. So,
Yeah.
um,
I know all about
yeah,
them injuries.
yeah, no, you do. Wasn't it it was your ACL, right? Freshman
Yep.
year that kind of put you out for good?
Yep. Yep.
I mean, that's tough. But I never had anything too crazy, which I was blessed to not have anything crazy like that. But that's a big injury. That's a major injury. So,
I
definitely one that'll put you out.
just retore it again in December.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Doing what? Playing softball?
Playing basketball.
She the same one?
Same leg, yeah.
Oh my goodness. That's yeah. Well,
Yeah. It was a freak, look, actually a freak injury though. We were playing basketball and this guy posted me up
mm,
and they tried to throw it into him and I jumped up and like hit the ball out and came back down and just landed on his foot. And instead of rolling my ankle, I tore my ACL.
that's wild actually that your ankle supported, but your knee didn't.
Yeah.
But well,
Low
wasn't it
tops.
your
No high tops, no ankle brace.
nothing?
No.
Huh. Wasn't your ACL was a non-contact injury too, wasn't it?
Yep.
Just planted and sheesh. That
Yep.
ACL does not like you. It does not like you one bit.
No. No.
That's kind of crazy. Well, yeah, so I guess you're kind of in the midst of it now. What have you found kind of outside since you can't physically do anything because you got a bum knee? What are some things that you've been able to do to cope and like not think about the physical side of everything?
Game with my friends. Like the only thing that I'm like totally distracts me. It's the only thing that I've gone to like since like high school. Like I have a couple friends that are just they make me laugh all the time and we can just laugh together and doesn't matter what we're playing. It's just talking to them and laughing about just dumb shit that literally makes no sense, but it's just being able to like shoot the shit with your friends and like totally take your mind off of whatever's going on.
I love that, man, because I'm the same way. We have a group of guys who I've known since middle school, and just like you said, when you have that much history in games and stuff like that, you would just say even the stupidest things, and it just gets the whole crowd riled up, and you just have your games. Like, what are your games that you guys typically play?
Fortnite, Apex, um, that's pretty much it as of late.
Okay.
Um, we tried out the COD, this last COD,
Mm.
not huge into it.
No, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Ours is always FIFA. We always go back to FIFA. FIFA is the one that brings everybody back together. We were always COD forever too, but no, that's crazy you say Apex. I've been a diehard Apex guy for the last 7 years. I am a big Apex player. But I've always typically solo grinded. I've done a lot of solo queuing, and I do have one buddy that we play a lot of Apex with still to this day. But I love that game. But that's so cool because I completely agree. I think that growing up, we were always told that like video games is gonna rot your brain and
Oh yeah.
it's bad for you and all these things, but it's like I don't think anyone truly understood the social aspect of it and like the relief that we get being with the boys. Like
Oh yeah.
it's
It's like
crazy.
it's just like going to the bar to hang out with your friends. Like my wife hates that I play video games. She's like, it's just so childish. It's stupid. And I was like, it's literally just me hanging out with my friends. Like that's
Yeah.
all it is.
And it's like the amount of things that you could be doing outside of that are like negative, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Like you said, going to the bars or like going like even if you want to go like do a round of golf and like have beers, that's still a ton of money. basically sitting at home. Apex Legends is a free game on a system that I've had forever. It's free, and I get to
Yeah.
do it whenever I want, and there's not like, how is that a bad thing? I think it's an amazing thing that you have, and I'm right there with you. Darian loves that I have my boys' time. She just hates it when I get wound up. Like, when I'm
Oh
just getting
yeah.
wild and just yelling, then she's like, "All right, buddy, time to wrap it up." But it's like, well, you need it, man. You need those times. You need those laughs. Like, I can't even tell you the amount of stress that gets relieved from just having a good laugh and just being around with the boys. And one of my best things that I've always said is like a stress reliever for me and my wife is comedy. Like, comedy is one thing that we've really gotten into. And so just being able to laugh, I can't even tell you how much that relaxes your body and just puts you in a nice calm state. So, um, I love that. I
Do you guys
absolutely
watch
love that answer.
like comedies on Netflix then or what?
Yes, we love stand up. There's a show called Kill Tony,
Oh
which
yeah.
is on YouTube. We've
Chronically
been
Online. I know exactly what you're talking about.
yes. Oh, we're religious with that. We've watched that almost every Monday for 3 years now. We watch it every time it releases. We've been on and off now since Tyrian's back in school. But it's religious for us. We have to do it. It's just something that it's always on Monday, so when you have those Monday scaries, you get a little de-stressed, and it's a beautiful thing to have. So, is there anything that you and your wife really love to do together?
Um, we
Obviously, a
used
kid.
to, yeah, before we had our daughter, like, our big thing in the summer was, like, we'd get up at 5 in the morning and we'd go for a 3-mile walk,
Mm,
and that was, like, our, like, us time because it was nice, it was so peaceful, it was, like, well, other than it being, like, humid as hell in the summer,
man,
even at 5 in the morning, it was nice because it's just, like, just us 2 walking, and it's peace and quiet, and it was just kind of our us time to just, like, hang out and hang it was kind of like our hangout and relax and just
yeah.
talk about anything we needed to talk about.
That's awesome. And you need that time. You absolutely
Yeah.
do. I always say, yeah, ours now is we do like either Sundays or Mondays where I think it's the coolest thing in the world when you can just sit down with a person and just talk. Like, there doesn't have to be screens on, there doesn't have to be music, there ain't gotta be nothing, and you guys can just talk and be open and honest with each other. I think that's one of the most powerful things. And um me and Darren did a podcast together, and that was what she said too, is like communication is the number one thing I think any relationship would say is the biggest factor. I mean, if you can't communicate properly and you can't express your emotions, express how you feel and what you want, I mean, your relationship is a pending doom, I think.
Oh, yeah.
So having that ability is really awesome. Is what you need. So
Yeah, we just kinda had that conversation very recently, like, we need to be more intentional with our time. Like, now that we have our daughter, like, when we put her to sleep, we need to be more intentional with our time, our us time, and, like, put our phones down and, like, do no screens and, like, play a card game or play a board game or something where we can just have our us time, and instead of, just everybody can just sit on their phones while they're watching TV.
You bring up a great point because, yeah, especially, well, you guys got lucky that you have a kid that sleeps, but yeah, even for people that, I mean, you don't have that much you guys time anymore. You just don't. And
No.
obviously, as your kid gets older and like goes to school and so on and so forth, there might be more times or events, so on and so forth. But when you're in that prime stage of a newborn up until they go into school, you're with the kid all the time. Like, obviously, if you have family around, so on and so forth, but like, you don't get the one-on-one time like you used to, and if you're not careful, you could go weeks and be like, "Oh shit, I haven't, like, just sat down and had a conversation with my wife," or, "We haven't gone out to dinner," or just had, like, that sit-down time. So, I think that's awesome that you guys are, having these conversations early and often because it's important. It's
Yeah.
extremely important. And I think even now, even with 2, it's just like we know that if they're both in bed, I gotta turn the games off, I gotta go hang out with her, or it's, one of those things where it's like, it's just that time is so valuable to me now. I completely agree. It's very different, but I think it's good too, because like what you say is like the less. you have of it, the more you realize how valuable it is. And so I think that's what I've realized is that I took for granted all the time that we had before where it was just us and, I was playing video games for unreasonable hours or she was sleeping and all this stuff. And it was just like, you don't realize how good it is till it's gone. And you're like, fuck,
Yep.
I got to spend more time with them. So I think that's awesome. Um, what is the most painful truth that you've had to accept about yourself, would you say?
For me, this was like, kind of along the lines of like, you aren't always who you think you are. Like, how you envision yourself is not how everybody else is envisioning you.
Mm,
In the sense that like you might do something for somebody and think like, "Oh, I'm such a great person. I just helped that person out." But like in reality, like let's say that other person saw that you were basically just doing it because everybody else saw you do it, that you were
mm,
doing it for your own personal gain of, oh, so everybody else would see him do something nice for somebody type thing.
mm,
But like just the sense like uh you see yourself differently than how everybody else does.
mm.
Like you
That's a
might
good one.
think you're like such a great person because you donate all your time or like help all these people, but like maybe they don't see you that way. And that can be portrayed through your body language or the expressions you have on your face while you're doing those things.
Yeah, I think it's a good one. It's always interesting, I think growing up too, I always thought people were like looking at me too intently. It was just like I just always thought I had the spotlight on me, but a lot of times it was like as you grow up too, you're like nobody gives a fuck. It's
Yeah.
just like they're paying attention, they see you, social media, whatever the case may be, but it was just like I think it was just always a bigger thing to me than
Oh
I
yeah.
should have let it be, which I think just takes time.
It's
And
like you walk out and like let's say you walk out in like basketball warm-ups like pre-game and you
mhm.
like think everybody in the crowd's like just staring at you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, I know what you're saying, and then you're out on the field during warm-ups and you, like, make a fake cut, you're like, "Oh, yeah, everybody saw that,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be out there
Yeah.
gymming," and it's like, dude, no one's watching, bro, no
Yeah.
one cares, no one cares, so that's funny. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, and I think it's so weird, it's so weird going on from I think it's just the adolescent mindset, and then obviously you're
Yeah.
maturing and realizing that everybody has so much shit going on that it just, like, it doesn't
Nobody
matter,
cares that much about you. Like they
no.
have so much in their own life to worry about.
And that's, like, the social media thing where it confuses the shit out of me because it's like, how do people have time to care about this kinda stuff? Like,
Yeah.
why do people give so much energy and so much time into writing all these comments on people's posts or, like, watching all their videos and, like, being so involved in their life? And I'm like, "Bro, what are we doing? Like, who cares?" It's just such an adolescent mindset to give that
Oh
much
yeah.
value to someone else's personal things. I don't know.
The the one good thing I did learn in like high school about that type of mindset was like in high school I learned like rumors were a huge deal and then if you just
Mm.
didn't care about them, like the next week it was something else.
Yep.
So like but like the minute you gave that attention to it, then it was like a big like the bigger it would get.
Sparks fire.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, it's a good point. Um, it just seems to be that way, yeah, where everybody just puts the stupidest things out there, and it's not true,
Yeah.
but for some reason they just give it weight and they just run with it, and it's just like, oh my goodness,
And then they're
I don't
trying to
know.
dig into all the like the nitty-gritty details
It's so
of
weird.
it. And it's like
It's so weird, but the world's gonna be what the world needs to be, so you gotta do what you gotta do. So, well, cool. I want to kind of gear the conversation into more of like a spiritual side of things and kind of get your intake on things. So, when you think about faith, spirituality, or a higher power, where do you personally stand on the idea of God?
um I do believe in God. Um, like all through high school, I grew up Catholic. So I was in catechism and went to church all the time. And I never really connected or understood or even like really considered my thoughts on God or Jesus.
Mm,
Probably until like even after college, I didn't really attend church at all. And then once my wife and I started dating, I started going to church with her to at her church. It's a small church out in the country, and there's like small Lutheran church in the country, and there's like 20 people that attend weekly. And it was like us, her mom, and her stepdad, and then like all the other couples were like 60 plus. So
Mm,
it was like we're the only young people at this church. And that was like kind of when I started paying more attention to the scripture and the readings and stuff, and like started building my relationship with God and actually developing a belief,
mm,
and actually understanding like, okay, like Jesus, like just in perspective, like Easter, Jesus just rose again, like actually listening to the scripture of like the gospel and stuff, and just putting it into thought and like trying to understand what that was like at that time.
yeah,
Whereas before I was like, oh, they're gonna read. When are they done reading? Can we just get communion and
yeah,
leave?
mhm.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean.
But
Has your relationship with your wife gotten stronger because you guys have found that connection?
yeah, I think so. And that's like I said, it's all because of her. Like I don't even know if I would be going to church if that hadn't been part of the relationship early on.
Yeah. Throughout this kind of, I guess, revibrance of finding God and, like you said, Jesus and everything like that, has there been any like spiritual experience that you've had during that? Or is there any like light bulb moment where you're like, oh, this all makes sense to me now?
Um, n- there was one sermon that the pastor was talking about. I can't even remember like word for word, but it was like about um, using your time to help others,
Mm,
and it kind of just spoke to me, and I was like, 'cause I've been coaching high school football for the last 3 years now, and I was like, you know what, like that kind of told me like I'm doing what I should be doing when like helping with that. I was like, because it always makes me feel good to see these kids, prosper when they go off and they like obviously it's only been 3 years, but just seeing them go to the next level and get to play in college, and
that's
even
really cool.
even if they don't play in college, just it's kind of like being a teacher, that you see the kids grow up type of thing.
No, for sure.
But
I
yeah,
didn't know you
it's
did that. That's really fucking cool. I've always wanted to do the coaching thing. But I think I'm gonna be save that for my kids. I don't
yeah.
know. Because I have the history, but it's secondary education. So I was supposed to be a teacher, and so that was kind of always the route that I wanted to go. But I think that's awesome. You giving back and you being in that position. So, but yeah, I think there's always times where it's like um I think people have to question everything, and I think if you truly wanna be a believer and believe in something, you do have to question it, and you have to question it intently, and so I do find that when I ask people these questions, it's like they grew up a certain way, so they kind of had a baseline, and then they through college and kinda going throughout your own endeavors, it seems to be like a big like a Y intersection where basically some people go with the route and never go back to it, or they find it later down in their life and they reconnect with it, which is great. So I was kind of the opposite end where it was like I've never reconnected with, Christianity. And, I grew up going to church twice a week, all the way until I was 18. And then obviously we went to Briarcliff, which is a private school, Christian school, and so on and so forth. And I didn't even find it until later in life, but I became a Buddhist. And so I more believe in Buddhism and through meditation and more of self-reflection. And so it's kind of just grabbed me my life and completely changed it and for the better. But I always say I have the Christian fundamentals, like having good morals and good beliefs, and so I think that holds a lot of weight for people. And when they're still continuing to go, and I always think religion's a good thing, so I always like to ask people, what they kind of believe in, what their practice is, because I think religion, no matter how you spin it, is a good thing, and it teaches people good morals and good beliefs, and keeps you on a level-headed path. So I think that's awesome.
So how did you find Buddhism and get into that? Like,
That's a great question. Basic training, believe it or not. when we were going to basic, so every Sunday, you can basically go to church services in the mornings, and since I fell out with Christianity and I was like, "I don't wanna go to the Catholic service," the whatever it was, and so but I realized after, like, 3 Sundays that they get to go out, they get to leave off base, they could do these things, and if I don't go anywhere, I get to stay in my barracks, and I was like, "Fuck that, I don't wanna do that." I was like, "What do we go to?" So the other option we had 3 options, it was a Jewish service, Muslim service, or a Buddhist service. And I was like, at the time, we were still in Afghanistan, so I was like, I'm not doing Muslim. And then Jews, I was like, I don't really want to do that one. I was like, Buddhism sounds fun. Let's try it out. And so we went to a Buddhist service, and you don't think of Buddhism as like having services or whatever, but obviously it was more of a American style service. But it was basically they just gave you cards and prompts, and they're like, gave you the baseline of it and said, hey, next time you're feeling overwhelmed, you feel like the world's on, tearing you down, whatever it is, do the simple chant. So it was Zen Buddhism. And so at night, when I was trying to reflect and see what, or, think about what happened during the day and like what I want for the future, obviously missing home, missing Darien, and missing everything that I was accustomed to, it just gave me peace. And just doing this little chant, this little like self-reflection every single night just gave me this overlying peace. And so that was kind of the starting line. And then when I really started to develop into it and really love it, it was just like this meditation thing. So I just started to dive really deep into it and learn more about Buddhism. And now I practice different ways in it than I traditionally started with. But the overarching thing that I do is that it's all about self reflection, and that you're the best version of yourself because you put yourself in certain situations through karma. And, life, and I think that whether you're Christian or not, you believe the same thing too, that you're based off of your life decisions and your actions, you're going to get reactions, and it's the cause and effect thing. And so that's kind of what I put most of my weight into, is the idea of karma, and then also through self-reflection I can be the best version of myself. So because I think that the idea of like an almighty God or like this entity just bothers me. Like I just don't think that it's possible. I'm very much on the science side of things when it comes to that, and
Yeah,
obviously with history and evolution, I believe in the evolution side. So when it came to the almighty power, like this almighty being, it just didn't connect with me. It just didn't. So I like the all the other principles and things that Christianity has to say about how you live your life and about who you want to be and how you treat others, but I just never connected with that higher power thing, and so it kind of led me astray.
that's interesting. That's very interesting. That's cool
Yeah.
though.
Um, Meditation, man. Well, especially when I went to the West Coast, you got a little hippie in me, you know what I'm saying? But, well, there's nothing better than sitting on the beach. You just get in that nice little flow state of just meditating, taking it and it's clear. It just, cause I always had, they call it like a monkey brain, right? Where you just like, you can't stop thinking about things and you have 10,000 different things in your head, whether it's like stresses, personal endeavors that you just can't seem to manage, whatever it is. And it was just always in my head. It felt like a bouncy ball, just rattling, rattling, rattling around. And so with meditation, you're trying to just flatline your brain. You're like literally trying to think of nothing and only think of the sounds. So when you practice it, and then you finally hit that like Zen where it's just flatline in your brain, it's euphoric. It's great. It's like a high. It's crazy. So,
How long
um,
did it take till you got to that point? And can
I
you continually hit that point?
It's hard, because life keeps throwing things at you,
Yeah.
and life keeps bringing things and, new challenges, and so I find different points where it's like, "Man, I haven't meditated in a week," or "I haven't meditated yet today," or "I haven't cleared my head." Um, but I remember it so vividly. It was in Oregon when I finally reached a point where I was just like, "This is it," and then I hit that beach, and it was like it was a high. So I had probably been practicing meditation for at least 4 or 5 years. Um Not nearly as consistent as I should have been, but, when I started doing it consistently, doing it every day, self-reflection every single day, that's when it hit, and then when I finally got that flat line for the first time, and I've had it many times since, but, um, just to think of nothing, and not in a bad thing, like, it's not like, "Oh, I'm not thinking about my wife, not thinking about my kids," it's like, in that moment, I can think of how happy I am to have them, how grateful I am to have the life that I am, and then just to be at peace with it. Acknowledge what I have and know that I don't need to do more right now. I don't need to, try and be this, that, and the other thing. I am what I am, and I'm at peace with that person, and
Yep.
I can relax. So, um, but it's cool. It's cool, man. I don't know. But I mean, I think in a sense, like prayer is almost its own form of meditation, right? Where you're just basically you're
Yeah,
reflecting on everything that you have and being grateful for it. I mean, it's almost no different with meditation, and so that's always kind of been with my history is like I would always love to go back and like be able to study religion and to be more of like connecting religions and find a way that everyone can share a common ground because I just don't think they're that different. I don't think they're that wild. I think there's some key factors that distinguish everybody, but I think at the end of the day everybody's trying to get the same outcome. Everybody's trying to
yeah.
be the best version of themselves and everybody's just trying to find a way in this crazy world and to understand it and adapt to it. So,
Because I mean, most of them all have the same like basic principles.
mhm.
I mean, they
Absolutely.
might have different beliefs or believe in different, but yeah, the basics are somewhat intertwined in almost all religions, I would think.
Yeah. No, I from what I've understood, with my history, I spent about a year just solely focused on I did the Old Testament, the New Testament, and then a bunch of other religions. That was kind of my coursework at South Dakota State, and it just all seems so similar. It is really all similar. So, but it's cool. So, do you think that humans were created with intention, or do you think that we kind of evolved by chance or circumstance?
Ooh. See, I don't this one's a tough one for me because it's like because you hear the story of Adam and Eve, and it's just like, oh yeah, this is how it started. But like, then also in that point is like, wouldn't you get to the point of incest where there was so much dysfunction with reproduction?
Mhm.
Like that's where I'm like, is that like how is that true if nowadays that's not possible?
Right.
So I
I
don't
can
I don't I don't know. I struggle with that one.
Yeah, I don't from just talking with people now, I've gotten a lot of different ideas on, like, the intention part of God creating us, which I don't hate that idea. Like, I don't hate that if there is an almighty power, let's say that's real, then let's say how would we create it? It was with intention. I don't like you said, Adam and Eve is almost impossible, right? Where it's just like that's just doesn't make any sense scientifically as what we know now. But that doesn't mean that something like that couldn't have happened where it was like the first start. So I always like to use the historical side of things where we have like Homo erectus and Neanderthals and then obviously Homo sapiens and how basically I think if there's a God that he kind of created us with intention, but like kind of did the little puppet in the background and created like his own little science project and made us who we need to be,
Yeah.
um, compared to what we were. And so I think that there's definitely some possibilities. I think and the why I love talking about it is because no one will ever fucking know, and so if
Yeah.
anyone has an opinion on it, they get to have an opinion on it because no one can say even the most scientific studied people, archaeologists, whatever you wanna call yourself, you don't know because you weren't there, you don't have any idea, so, but no, I think it's so interesting to see if, like, we were created with intention. Let's say, for instance, we are created with intention. What do you think humans' intention is then? Like, why are we here? What is the point of being here? I don't know,
Yeah.
you know? Um, and that's where it's like, when I think of it that way, when I think of intention, I don't know. I think as humans, we're just so lucky to be here. And I just don't know if there's like any soul. I'm going to put my finger on it. This is what we're meant to be or meant to do. And so I think it then leans more towards chance and circumstance by any means. I think that we were just lucky enough to get this opportunity to be here. And so that we shouldn't squander it. I don't know. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like you could see both sides of it. Like,
Yeah. It's weird. So, um, but okay, so let's put it this way. What do you think happens after you die then?
um, I know like you grow up thinking like, oh yeah, you go to heaven or you go to hell. And then you
Mhm.
eventually learn, oh well, you go to purgatory first to find out if you go there. I don't know. I kind of believe that like if you've been a well, see, I think, like, if you've been a good enough person, then you'll go to heaven,
Mm,
but the whole point behind Christianity is Jesus forgives your sins. So wouldn't that mean everybody just goes to heaven?
mhm.
See, like,
That's mhm.
I don't know, I believe that you'll go to heaven. I mean, like I said,
It's a
because Jesus forgives those who don't even want forgiveness. Like, they're not even, striving for forgiveness, and they get forgiven.
right. So that's kinda where I draw the line too, is, like, how do you distinguish a heaven or a hell? Because if like you said, if he's just gonna forgive you for everything, then everybody should go to heaven, and there shouldn't be a hell, right? I mean,
Yeah.
in theory. And then that's the thing too. If there is going to be heaven or hell, then there has to be some distinguishers. Then who gets to go where and why? And so that's where yeah, it's just like it's so confusing to me. And the other thing is, do you think, let's say, to get into heaven, that it's more based off of your actions rather than like your prayers and thoughts, or do you think it's more towards how you worship him that gets you into heaven?
I personally believe it would be by your actions. Because I
And
mean,
that
you
makes the
could,
most sense.
you could pray all you want and do all the right things spiritually that way, and just be a terrible, selfish person and not help anybody,
Hmm.
and that, like, defeats the whole purpose of what being a Christian's all about.
Introducing West River Caramel Whiskey. West River Whiskey proudly presents their caramel flavored whiskey, a proud product of South Dakota. A perfect balance of high quality whiskey and smooth caramel, crafted to provide a rich experience with every sip. The whiskey used in their caramel whiskey is double pot distilled and aged for 5 years in American white barrels, creating a deep, refined character before carefully blended with caramel flavors. Rooted in agriculture and crafted with care, this bottle represents the spirit of the Midwest: hard work, patience, and authenticity. Whether enjoying neat, over ice, or mixed into your favorite cocktail, West River Caramel Whiskey delivers smooth, warm, with a touch of sweetness that lingers long after the glass is empty. You can get yours now at westriverwhiskeyco.com. Ships to Alaska, Hawaii, Massachusetts, Oregon, South Dakota, and Utah. Yeah,
You know,
I I agree. I think that um it's just the way you live. And so if you think there's gonna be an afterlife, or there is an afterlife, then you should be rewarded based off of who you were, not just your words, right? Because everybody knows that you can deceive people to your right, left, and in between, but if there's an almighty God, you can't deceive him, let alone yourself, right? At the end of the day, you can deceive everybody around you, but you can't deceive like, you know the truth. No matter how good of a liar you are, manipulator, whatever it is, you at the end of the day know the goddamn truth. So, um, that's always the thing with me, is that you and your creator will be able to figure out the truth. So I think that distinguishes, if there was a heaven or a hell, that makes the most sense to me. It's based off your actions of who you actually were when no one's looking. It's that integrity portion, right? Where there's all kinds of times where nobody's around, nothing's looking, nobody has an idea, that kind of just defies who a person is. I mean, that's the truth of it. So, um, I think that makes the most sense to me. But, um, if there was one thing that people remembered about you when you die, what would you want it to be?
ah, if I wanted the one thing I want people to remember me for is probably that guy would do anything for somebody, even if he didn't know the person or if it was his best friend. You know, I that's where I just, you come back to that part of being a Christian, in not for your own personal gain, but just wanting to help others. Like, I've always just kind of gotten enjoyment out of helping others, whether it was like as a coach or at my job. Like, I just enjoy helping people get the things they want out of life. It's kind of just given me joy. So I'm like, and I kind of like that. And I'm like, I would want people to see me that way.
Yeah, I think that's a great, being a genuine human being, I think is very important. I think that's cool, man. I don't have that trait, where it's like doing things for other people and like, like I said, I'm a very selfish person. And so I'm always like self-centered around my family and just things. And so I envy you and I try and be more like people like you where I can go out and like help other people and do things that aren't about me. Because I really do struggle with that. When it almost seems like I don't get something out of it, I struggle to do it. And that's, a really shitty thing about myself, but I mean, I can't lie about it. That's just who I am. So,
There's a lot of people
um,
that won't know that's I mean, you're not the only
yeah,
one, so
yeah. And so, obviously with my direct family and my direct friends and everybody like that, I try and go above and beyond, but it's like just random people on the street or people that I don't know. I do really struggle with trying to go and above and beyond and help people out. Um, or like go outside my own wheelhouse to do anything like that. So, um, but no, that's cool. I think that's awesome. Um, when you think about modern society, I know we've talked about this a little bit, but what do you think people take most for granted with our human existence right now?
um, what people take for granted, there's so much there's, like, literally everything in life people
Yeah,
take for granted, like, literally the technology we have, the ability to travel, like, fly across the world, water, you know?
yeah,
Um, but ultimately, I think the biggest thing, is family, is what I have written down, um, just because a lot of people don't realize how important or how great family can be if you don't have a great one. I mean, it can be the best thing ever. And um, in some self reflection that I've done, I've like realized like when you're in high school, you think hanging out with your friends is like all that matters,
mhm,
and it's like God, I can't imagine how your family would feel sometimes when you're like, oh, I'd rather go spend time with my friends than spend time with my family.
yeah,
You're and now that we're both dads, we're gonna get to that point to where like our daughters would rather go spend time with their friends than you, and that's like a sad reality that it'll eventually get to that point. Like and man, and then eventually years down the road, maybe they'll realize like what I've come to realize. But I mean, I'm just glad I eventually came to that realization because I'm still close enough with my mom and dad. I live like 13 miles away now.
mm.
So I still spend a lot of time with them.
That's awesome. You're right. You're absolutely right. And the full circle moment when my kid doesn't want to be around me anymore, and wants to go hang out with her boyfriend is gonna kill me. It's gonna hurt. I've already talked about it. That's gonna kill me. But it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen with both of them. So I just gotta take it on the chin when it comes. But no, you're absolutely right with the family thing, man. I had that hard reality check with my life, and I've talked about it on the podcast before. But my sister one day came up to me, and because I'd been living on the West Coast for almost 4 years and doing my own thing and living away from everybody, and she was just like, "Why don't you love me?" And I was like, "What are you talking about? I love you, like you're my sister." And she's like, "Well, you don't show it. Like you never talk to me, you never come home, you never do any of these things." And I'm like, "You know what? You're right." Like I would go almost like 6, 7, 8 months without talking to any of my family members because I was so wrapped up in, oh, I need to live on the West Coast, so I need to advance in this job. I need to be the best salesperson, this, that, and the other things. And it was just like, and obviously now having a kid and being back home, it's just like none of that fucking matters. Like none of it mattered at the time, but I just couldn't see past that in the moment. And so I'll never get that time back. But like you said, luckily I recognized it early enough because now I'm back and living in Kansas City. And yeah, like I just saw my family last weekend. We drove all the way back and like they're coming up next weekend. And it's like to have that grandparent is the coolest thing in the world. When your kid says grandma and like runs up and gives your mom a hug, I mean, it is crazy how cool that is. Like, and I wouldn't trade it for the world, but it's like it took certain things in my life to happen for me to get to that point. And luckily, like you said, I recognized it because yeah, there's nothing cooler in the world than having good family and having family around. It is really, really special. So that's
Yes, it
awesome.
is.
You said they live, so is it Hayward that you're still living in now?
I live in Akron now. That's where my
Akron,
wife's
okay.
from.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay, yeah. The old Iowa. I say When we moved back from the West Coast, I was like, "I can't go back to Iowa." I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I I worked in Portland and all the big cities, and I love big cities. I don't know, I love just being lost in the population, which I know some people really don't like, but, um, I love it. I love just being a number and just being able to do whatever the fuck I want, and nobody cares, and nobody looks at me. Like we said earlier, I just felt and, like, obviously, you being a really good athlete and being, wherever from high school, I'm sure you felt like all the time people were staring at everything that you did. Like, that was my thing where it was just like, I felt like I couldn't do anything without hundreds of people like, "Oh, Dylan's doing this," like, and I just hated that feeling. I hated feeling like I had eyes on me, and so I did
Yeah.
the inverse and moved to a city where there's millions of people, and so nobody knows what the fuck Dylan's doing. Nobody has a clue what Dylan's doing, so and I think that was honestly, like, with the social media thing too, where I just wanted to unplug, where I just didn't want anybody to know what was going on in my life, but, now that I've got so much more to life, I feel like I gotta share with the world, so I think it's a good thing to come back to, I think, but I
Yeah.
definitely needed a little break. I need a little break, but, what do you think the world needs more of from people, and how do you try and embody that in yourself?
This is where I come back to the doing things for others.
Mm,
Compassion is what I think
mm,
the world lacks. Like, and then like we were talking about social media, it's very noticeable on social media. Like everybody's got to be the first person to like point out this mistake that somebody made, or like it's all of it's just the negativity on there. And instead of anybody having any remorse for or feel bad for what they're probably going through is just insane to me. I'm like,
yeah,
yeah, so I was like, compassion for sure.
compassion's a good one. Um, it's something I struggle with, yeah, where it's easy to judge. I think that's the other thing too, is it's just so easy to judge people and take
Oh
that
yeah.
first glance and just be like, "Pfft, whatever." But finding that extra gear and being compassionate and trying to put yourself in their shoes, I think is something that I definitely try and be better at, and try and be good at, and especially living in a city and you see so much negativity and it's just so easy to judge. It's so easy to see the guy on the side of the street and be like, "What'd you do to get there, buddy?" Like, it's just like, but that's not what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be like, okay, he's obviously or she's obviously going through something traumatic, and you gotta feel for them, and rather than sit there and judge them and say, "Oh, I'm better than them because I have a house or I have a relationship," or whatever the fuck it is. Um, that we're not better than those people. They're just at different points in their life. So, no, I agree. Compassion's a good one. Um, well, cool. Did you have any questions for me?
No, no. The one question I asked you, I was like genuinely so interested how you kind of
Yeah.
got into Buddhism when I first heard you talk about it. I was like,
Yeah.
that's very interesting. Like, how did that come about?
Yeah. And it's something that even now, it's like if I didn't go out and do my own studies and like try and really dive deep into it, whether it's reading books or like finding different things, I there's not a lot of it around. I mean, there's just not. It's just hard to find people that believe that way and believe in that route. It's just you find so much of people that were almost indoctrinated into Christianity and like they went to it as a kid growing up and everything like that. And so it just continues to go on. So it's really hard to break the cycle. It is. It's, especially when you grow up believing one way and believe in good things. And like I said, it's all good things. Like it makes good people. Typically, if you go to church growing up, you typically seem to come out as a good person or you have at least a good moral compass around you. Maybe you make bad
Yeah.
decisions later on, so on and so forth. But, it's really hard to pry away from that. It's really hard to step away from that. And so I think it was just the ability for me to do so many different things in life that it gave me so many different perspectives, and so it just drove me to try different things, and, that's all I can ever tell anybody is just try new things. Try and go out and do all the different things, so, you never know where you'll land. You never know, but, do you guys think that you guys will have more kids, or do you like having just the one?
No, we'll definitely have more kids. Like,
Yeah.
one's not enough for me. And I said like, I said like three or four, and she's like four. So
She
we'll
You
see.
guys are gonna That'll be a lot of I mean, enjoy the sleep now, brother, because yeah, they ain't all gonna sleep. There's no way.
I
There's
know.
no way. Good luck with that. But I mean, if you guys have a good support system and you have grandparents and family around all over the place, you guys will do great. It'll be amazing.
We're
Um,
very fortunate in that aspect. Like I said, my parents are 13 miles away. Her mom lives with her stepdad out in the country 8 miles away, and then her dad is 20 miles the other direction his with her stepmom. So like 3 sets of grandparents all within like 20 minutes.
wow, that's awesome. And I'm sure you've seen the love that the grandparents get and the
Gosh.
parents have. It's such a unique thing. It's hard to describe. It's really hard to describe, but um, it's so beautiful. I would say anybody. I know there's a lot of people out there that are like, and especially like the new generation. Like we talked about there. It's I understand the financial burden. I understand all the societal changes and everything like that. But the biggest message I can always put out there is if you are given the opportunity to be a parent, take advantage of it. It is one of the coolest things you'll ever do. It sucks. It's tough. Don't get me wrong, it is hard, but it's one of the best and coolest things you'll ever do. I get it. I preach that to everybody. I love it. I think it's so cool. But well, I think it's time for the bonus question. I always like to ask one bonus question at the end that I don't give the hint out to. But how do you think the ancient Egyptian pyramids were built and who do you think built them? I gotta know.
Oh, jeez.
It's the history in me. I always gotta ask the question.
See, this is where I'm like, they always say like, "Oh yeah, all these Egyptians like pulled these big rocks with ropes," and I was like, that doesn't make any sense to me. That's way too heavy to pull uphill.
That's what I'm saying.
Uh, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, because there's no way. I mean, I personally don't think there's any way it was man made.
Yeah. Um, well, especially within the time frames that they give it, less than 5,000 years ago. Um, it's just impossible. Yeah. How do you think it's 450 feet in the air? It's almost 4 football fields wide in each direction. Like, we're not taking ropes and pulling those mugs. It's just not happening. So,
No, not a chance in hell.
no, I always like to ask. I know some people I've had the answer with aliens. It had to have been people, all the other in between. So I always love to get people's perspective on it. But
It's probably like one of those things that just like it was plopped there, like God put it there, like it's like mountains, but
yeah, no, honestly, I mean that's where it comes into the conversation too. Is like the God aspect, and it's like a lot of people just say just God put it there, and it's like you can't say no to that because there's no proof for
yeah.
or against it because it's just like because nobody else has any proof of anything. So, I'm not against that argument because yeah, we all sit here and we're just like nobody understands at all how the fuck it got there. But uh, that's one place that I'm dying to go to. I want to go to Egypt so bad. Did you guys go anywhere crazy for like a honeymoon or anything like that?
Before we were married, we just did the Caribbean stuff,
Mm,
and then leading up to it, we'd obviously already gone to the Dominican and Jamaica. So I was like, for our honeymoon, let's do something like not the beach. Let's go to Europe.
hell yeah.
And because I've been to London in
Mm,
God, what year was that? 2017, 2018. And I was like, okay, I want to go back to like I want to go to like Germany, and her grandparents had went to Germany years ago, and she's like, I want to go to Germany, and I was like, let's do Germany and Switzerland because I think Switzerland would be sick.
mm,
And so we flew into Munich. We're in Munich for 3 days, and then took a train to Lucerne, Switzerland, and I think we're already making plans for our 5-year anniversary to go back to Germany, to Munich. I highly recommend Munich. It was a lot of fun. The beer is so
yeah.
good there.
The bruise. I
It,
know I heard
it's
that.
it's unreal. Like when I say you can drink a lot of beer and like wake up the next morning not hungover, like no headache.
Where do I sign? I'm here for it. That's crazy.
And
Uh,
everybody thinks it's like dark colored warm beer. And I'm like, no, it's looks exactly the same color as a light beer, and it's cold.
Mm,
So it's so good though. It's
that
so
sounds
good.
amazing.
It
No,
is amazing.
that's awesome. I'm glad you guys did that. We did the same thing. We went on a European tour for our honeymoon, and we went from France to Italy to Greece. And so we did all kinds of. We went to like a Paris Saint-Germain game in Paris, and went to Eiffel Tower, and then went to Rome, the Vatican, and then all the kinds of Santorini and Athens in Greece, and went to Mount Olympus. Like we did it all. We were like, "Fuck it, we gotta go." So we went for 2 weeks. And we saw everything we could think of, and so it was amazing. But yeah, I always just go on a European tour, whether it's Northeast, South, or Western Europe. I always tell people that's one of the coolest things you could do for sure.
Did you guys go through a travel agency that like booked everything for you?
No. So that was the other part of it is that I am such a bad planner. Like I just go with the flow, whatever happens. But when you go to a foreign country, you can't go with the flow, and I learned that the hard way. So we got there at, like, 9 a.m. their time, and we couldn't check into the hotel till 2 p.m. But keep in mind the 8-hour like, layover difference. So it was, like, midnight our time when we landed, and we're like, "We can't check into our hotel for, like, another 5 hours." So we had to walk around Paris until, like, 5 in the morning our time, and we ended up passing out in the lobby like, waiting for our room to get there, and, like, just this whole thing, and then we got up and we're like, "Okay." We had nothing bought. We bought our tickets to go to France, and we had bought our tickets to come back 2 weeks later and had bought nothing else. That was it. Like, we were just, like, truly backpacking it and saying, "Fuck it," and so
Oh,
we
jeez.
we were smart the second day. The second day, we didn't have any plans. We're like, "Okay, we're going to the Eiffel Tower." We came back, and we literally started just buying everything. We took a credit card out and started buying plane tickets, bus rides, everything, like, hotels, like, we just planned out 2 weeks in a day, and then we just did it, and we did it all. So, I wouldn't advise people doing that, because even when we landed from our plane, I had taken French in college, so that was the only way we had actually figured out what train we needed to get on to get to our hotel is because I could read it just enough to be like, "Okay, we should get on that one." But, like, we didn't have a clue. We didn't have any idea where we were going, and Paris is one of the biggest airports on the planet, so I don't advise anybody doing that. So, yes, if you can go through a travel agency or know people to travel with, it's probably the smarter one because it was terrifying when you land in a different country, no one speaks your language, and you don't know where you're going, but we figured it out, and it was an amazing time. It was an amazing time.
What was your favorite part of the trip? Like,
You
what
know,
part of it was like, I recommend people go do this or go here?
mm, I didn't like Rome that much, which is, very different. We went to the Vatican on a Sunday. Wouldn't advise that. That it was closed, BT dubs. So, but we were just that like I said, we didn't have anything planned, so we were just like, "Let's go to the Vatican today." We show up and everything's closed, and it's like it's Sunday, we're like, "Oh my god, we're such dumbasses, like, no crap, it's not open." But I think one of the coolest things was it's the culture. That was the biggest thing is that, like, whether it was France, Rome, or, Italy, or Greece, the culture there, and I'm sure you saw it there too with Germany and Switzerland, is something to behold. Like, everybody just seems to embody that culture. More in Greece was the one where I noticed it the most. Going to Mount Olympus was one of the coolest things I've ever done. And so, like, you grow up on all the movies and the lores and the myths, and, like, literally hiking up to Mount Olympus and seeing the Parthenon. And, like, when you're on the top of that, it's this giant bowl of just mountains that make a whole, like, half circle, and then the other half circle is the ocean, and you're literally at the top of all that, right in the middle of it, and you just do a 360, and every square inch is covered with houses that have been there for thousands of years, and it's just, like it was one of the coolest, most euphoric moments of my life where I'm looking around, I'm like, "This is fucking cool." Like, and that's all the stories, all the myths, everything. I was there, I was standing on top of it, so, but that's the history side of me, but no, I think Europe in general, when you go to different countries, they have their own identity. And I think it's really cool that, United States is a melting pot. And that's what we're known for, is having all the diverse cultures and everything like that, which is great. But if you go to certain countries and they have like, this is their culture, this is their style, and you get to see that, I think it's really fucking cool. And so when I did that, we came back and I did a 23andMe because like I want to know where I came from. Like I had never known where I grew up. Like obviously growing up in the Midwest, but like where did my ancestors come from? Where did great grandpa and great great grandparent come from, and so on and so forth. And sure enough, found out that I was like 80% Norwegian. So like we did a little bit searching, and I actually, with my uncle, we found where we came from, and it's crazy. And so they even like still have farms from where my mom's relatives came from in Norway. Like we can really trace it back all the way to the 1800s when they came over to the United
That's
States.
sick.
So it's so cool. But it was just like I had that experience overseas where it was just like I got to see the cultures and all those things, and it just made me find so much more about myself. And so that's why I think it's so cool. Is like just I think anybody go and experience that life because it's so different than the United States, as I'm sure you saw.
Oh,
Switzerland's always been on my bid. I think that place looks beautiful.
it is. I will say, like, it was the views were like phenomenal. Um,
Mm,
although we went up to Mount Titlis. It's like the biggest mountain in Switzerland, and
mm,
they have like these rails that you can walk on, like connecting the mountains, like alongside the mountains and stuff.
mm,
And the one day we went up there, it was snowing, so had it all closed, so we could basically like sit in the like shop thing at the top of the mountain, and that was like all we could do,
mm,
which sucked. But like you see all the pictures of it, and it just looks sweet. But like even Lucerne, the town, like it's right on a lake, and in the lake there's the mountains in the background. It was just gorgeous. But
yeah.
like outside of that, was not a huge fan of Switzerland. That's one place I'm
Uh,
like, oh, I'm okay. I won't go back. Like, um, part of it is probably because we have like no experience going there, didn't know what to expect, obviously, or like we had, um, so we had a lady plan our whole trip. So we
mm,
had, I think we did a chocolate tour there. We took the train to some place, and like they showed us like how their chocolate bars are made, and then we got to like make our own chocolate bar at this chocolate factory. So that was kind of sick. But like that took an hour and a half, 2 hours. And then it
mm,
was like we had the whole day left. And culture over there is to like eat supper like at like 7 or 8 o'clock at night.
mm,
And we're so used to eating at like 5 or 6. And like I think we went to go eat at this this pasta place at like 6 o'clock. And we're like the only people there, and like
mm.
the waiters like barely, like not even ready to start working yet. And we like literally sat down, had an appetizer, ate our pasta, and left. And nobody was there yet. I think there's one other table that had sat down.
Hmm.
And it's just in Switzerland. It's the most expensive country in Europe. It was like 120 Swiss francs for a pasta supper for me and my wife, which is like 140 US dollars.
Phew.
Yeah.
Yuck.
So then we shared a pizza the next night.
Yeah, that's probably fair. Um, Man, I say we went. It was only 4 years ago. Um, I couldn't even imagine what it's like now. How expensive it would be to try and pull off another trip like that. Um, it's crazy. Yeah. Is there anywhere in the future that you want to go to? Anything that you got on the checklist?
My wife wants to do Ireland.
Mm, mm-hmm.
I loved Munich. I would go back. And she's like, even, yeah, because there was a Bayern Munich was playing the first night we got there,
Mm, uh-huh.
and there was like guys that stopped to have a beer at our hotel before they were going to the game, and she's like, well, maybe we could go to a soccer game the next time we go. And I was like, yeah, we can. I'll go to a soccer game there.
Dude, do it. We
Allianz
went to.
Stadium.
Yeah, dude, that would be crazy. Because we went to Paris Saint-Germain, their stadium, and I've been to a ton of professional soccer games, and obviously soccer's been a big part of my life, but like going to Europe and going to an actual like stadium is fucking bizarre. It is so cool. And we got so blessed. We had, I don't know if you know who these people are, but Neymar, Messi, and Mbappe were all playing
Oh
up
yeah,
top. for that game, so we got to see all 3 of them play, and I think Neymar scored and Mbappe scored, and it was just like it was so fucking like, you see the red flares and like, people just are
Yeah.
freaking the fuck out. It was like it was so cool. It was such a surreal experience. So, like, oh, yeah, absolutely. Even if you're not into soccer, like, even if you don't know
Oh,
that much about it, you could go to one of those events and just have a great time. You don't even have to know what's going on. Like, it'd just be so much fun.
I'm
So
a I'm big into soccer, actually.
so with the World Cup coming up, it's gonna be nuts.
Are you
The
going to a
whole
game?
and I wanted to really bad. So we wanted to go. We do like a yearly friends trip. So, like, we have a group of guys that we actually get together every year, and we wanted to go to the World Cup. That was kind of our thing. But in Kansas City, Arrowhead, like, even any of the tickets, it's like $3,000 a person.
I know, I because me
And
and my best friend said, like, 8 years ago, we said, "Someday we're going to a World Cup game."
yeah, I mean,
And I'm like, "That's for, like, nosebleeds, too."
oh, yeah, yeah, you're not getting anywhere near the field. You're not getting to see shit. And it's so frustrating because they do this stat comparison, and, like, the Qatar World Cup final was $1,600 you could get a ticket. For a World Cup final, that makes perfect sense. Like, but now you can't even see, it was like Bosnia-Herzegovina versus Canada for $3,300. I'm like, "Dude, what are we talking about?"
Um,
Like,
who does Curaçao play? The first game
um
there. Some other, like, small country, I think.
yeah, it might be
Um,
Turkey. Could be wrong. I can't remember.
um,
But
my
Arrowhead's
my
gonna have a bunch.
my brother-in-law works for a company in Omaha, and they have a box for that game, and he might get me into that game, into the box, the Curaçao.
Dude, take that advantage because I mean, it would be impossible to go to a World Cup forever from here on out. Like, it's just gonna be crazy. The world
Yeah.
gets crazy. So, um, do it. I mean, that'd be crazy. That'd be super, super cool. Because Arrowhead's only like 15 to 20 minutes from my house, and so it gets when the Kansas City games are going, it gets crazy. So I
Oh, I
cannot imagine what the World Cup's gonna be like, having games here all the time and hosting all these different teams that are gonna be here. So
the city's gonna
the
be
summer's gonna
insane.
be nuts. Oh, yeah, it's gonna be nuts. So, but yeah, we're getting together with a bunch of boys for the World Cup quarterfinals. So, yeah, when they're or the semifinals is where we're getting together. So we're gonna go to a bunch of watch parties in Kansas City and do all the fun stuff. So it'll be a blast, man. The World Cup's gonna be so much fun, and so we've been watching it like crazy,
Who
getting
you
ready
got
for it,
winning?
getting all the
Who you got
qualifiers.
winning it?
Dude, I think Spain takes it. I really do. I watched Spain in the Euros 2 years ago, and they were just elite. I mean, even against France, and France, I mean, France is up there. I think if I were to say 3, it'd be Portugal, France, or Spain. I don't think anyone else even sniffs the trophy this year. I just don't. Um,
I've been a big France guy because I used to be a big Paul Pogba fan,
oh, yes.
and
Oh, yes.
I think France is not very good this year. Like, I think they're just well, I don't think they're not very good. I think they're overrated is what I think.
Yeah. I mean, they've got some players, but, um it's almost too selfish, like, I read where, like, Mbappe now is on Real Madrid and, he's obviously one of the best players on the planet, but, like, there's so much individual play on France's team, like, they're so good at their own individual spot, but they're not like a cohesive team where, like,
Yep.
Spain is just everybody's good, but they're just so good together, it's
Yeah, they
crazy
mesh
to
well
watch.
together.
And same with Portugal, and so I don't know. I think Spain takes it home. I'm putting money on it for sure this summer. So, I'm putting some money down. I'm gonna see if we can win some money off that. But, um, they gotta be my favorites. They gotta be my favorites. But do you watch golf at all?
No, that's one thing I just never like got into.
Yeah, that's fair. I say the
Like
Masters are going
I was
on,
saying, the
so
Masters going on. I'm like, yeah, honestly, I could care less.
that's fair.
I
Hey, that's
I
fair.
love to play golf, but like I'm not like
Yeah.
I just could care less about watching it.
That's my dad's sport. When I finally became a dad, I was like, I broke out the golf clubs. I'm like, I'm gonna get good at golf because it'll get me out of the house, and it's a dad sport. I don't gotta put my body on the lines. I can just go out there and swing some clubs. So, I'm not bad. I'm not good, but it's like I'm not like just piss terrible. So that's at least nice. But um, it's one of the sports where it's like, man, I was putting my body on the line trying to tackle 300-pound dudes when I could have just been swinging a golf club my whole life and like getting better at that. Like, what was I doing? Like, if somebody would have just introduced me to golf earlier, that would have been so nice. But
Yeah, you would have been like, "This is stupid." Like,
yeah, it's ridiculous. So yeah, no, it's cool. But well, cool. Well, Kez, I really appreciate you coming on tonight and taking the time to talk to me. I know it's not the easiest thing with family going on and life in general it's taking place. So I really appreciate you coming on and spending time. So it's been great.
thanks for having me. It was awesome.